right, everyone. Welcome to the July edition of the Progress Virginia Spotlight. Every month, we like to highlight organizations in Virginia that are working to make our state a place where everyone can thrive. This month, we're doing something special. All right, everyone. We're turning July edition. We're turning the spotlight onto ourselves because it's our 10-year anniversary. That's right. We've been grinding for progress in Virginia for a whole decade now, and we're so happy to have you all with us every step of the way. Today's guest for the PV Spotlight is the founder and former executive director of Progress Virginia, Anna Scholl. Welcome.
Hey, Jen. Thank you for having me.
Well, so Anna, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to start Progress Virginia.
Yeah, so I founded Progress Virginia 10 years ago this spring, which is wild. It went by very quickly. And before starting Progress Virginia, my background was in campaigns and political consulting. I had worked on a lot of campaigns in Virginia and was interested in still doing political work, but wanted to not work on a campaign schedule all the time. And the opportunity came across my desk to start Progress Virginia because there was a group of advocates in Virginia who had sort of done an assessment and decided one of the things that we needed to build progressive power in Virginia was communications capacity, and folks who could be really aggressive in holding the right wing and conservatives accountable while articulating a broad progressive vision for our future. So I started Progress Virginia in March of 2011, and we launched publicly in July of 2011. So this month is our 10-year anniversary.
Woo! Go Progress! So Virginia's political landscape back in 2011 was drastically different than it is today. Can you tell us what it was like to work in Virginia politics in 2011?
Yeah, it was an old boys club, even more so than today. I know it still seems that way to a lot of people. But back in 2011 and 2012, I was younger and more well-rested, but the governing structures in Virginia were all controlled by conservative Republicans, the governor's mansion, the House, the Senate. And not just conservative Republicans, but white men Republicans. And that was reflected not just in the policies that they were moving forward, but in the way that they prioritized communities, in the way that they engaged with the public, in how they talked about the issues and what was at stake. And it really, for that first few years, felt like a lot of sort of like banging at the doors, trying to, break our way in, force people to listen. One of the first big things that happened at Progress Virginia was we released a report detailing all the ways in which the American Legislative Exchange Council, which is a corporate front group, was ghostwriting laws in Virginia with the cooperation of GOP lawmakers. And a lot of GOP lawmakers did not appreciate that sunshine. Even at the time, the Speaker of the House, who was intimately involved in that organization, called us liars in the press, said that we were making it up, personally insulted me to my face, as like a little girl who didn't know what she was talking about. So yeah, it was a whole vibe back then.
Sounds awful. And what's it like now? How does it feel to work in Virginia politics in 2021?
I think that there has been a sea change in Virginia politics, that Progress Virginia has been a big piece of building. And there's so much more work to do. We are not by any means, at achieving our vision, at, the ultimate community that we want to build. But when we look at the General Assembly and what leadership looks like, and not just in party affiliation, I think it's really easy to say, Virginia elected Democrats and things are different. Party affiliation does and doesn't mean a whole lot. I think when you look at the people that we're electing, when you look at the young people, when you look at the people of color, when you look at the Black women that Virginians are electing and putting into positions of power, I think that there is a huge change in the voices that are driving forward conversations and making policy in Virginia these days that makes me so excited about where the Commonwealth is going and where Progress Virginia is going, and about what is possible next when we build a multiracial, reflective democracy where the people who are in elected positions of power look like the communities that they're representing.
Yeah, it's definitely been a pleasure to see the sea change, as you called it, and to see our the people that are representing us in the state legislature reflect the communities that they represent, and to see it just become way more diverse and to push forward policies that are helping more people. So, what kind of effort did it take to get us to where we are now on the progressive side of things?
A lot of hard work. I think that so many things. I think one, a lot of people, I think, want to take for granted that Virginia is a blue state now. And I very strongly believe that that is not true. I think that Virginia has a progressive base of voters that, when we do the work to engage those voters year round in conversation about their future and about making change in their community, those voters come out to vote to make decisions for themselves. And if we don't do that work, if we don't invest in doing that work, then that base and that voting base and power will slip away. And that is not the result of electing Donald Trump president, or demographic changes, or any of those things, right? Demographics is not destiny. It takes a lot of year-round organizing and communications work to build that power and build that base, and that's what we've been a part of doing in Virginia, is working with partners in a long-term strategy of how do we build an engaged coalition of voters who are active participants in leaders and driving forward the changes that they want to see, and building that year over year after year. We are both blessed and cursed in Virginia to have elections every year, sometimes multiple times a year. And that's not a coincidence. That system was designed by old white racist men who thought that by putting state elections in off years, right, in odd years, that fewer people were going to come out to vote. And if fewer people came out to vote, then they would have control over who those voters were and the outcome. And that was the case for a lot of years. And I think we've seen, when we do the long-term work to build people's engagement and participation in our democracy, we prove to them that their vote matters and they have a say in the changes that are happening in their community, and we build patterns of participation. When more people come out, they choose progressive solutions and progressive policies and progressive lawmakers. It's not a foregone conclusion, and it takes a lot of work to make it happen. And we still have a lot of work in front of us, not just to hold on to the progress that we've made, but to continue marching it forward.
Yeah, I like that you said that this is the culmination and ongoing work of years and years of efforts. And a lot of the media coverage that you get treats it like it's an overnight sensation, that like, ooh, all these people just showed up out of nowhere and voted. And like, it's not like we've been engaging them for a really long time. And I like how we like push back and we're like, no, this is a lot of work.
Well, and I think, if you look at sort of the changes in voting that happened in Virginia after Trump was elected in 2016, certainly that was part of a catalyst. But we were able to win in that environment because we had done the work and laid the groundwork for success, after that election. And we've continued to do the work to build upon that momentum and power and engagement to keep winning and keep moving forward progressive policy. But I think the idea that progressives only won electoral victories in Virginia after Trump is it's honestly kind of insulting, right? Because it takes away agency and power from the people who have been on the front lines doing that organizing work and advocacy work and education work for so many years. And it makes electoral outcomes and engagement seem like they're out of anybody's control. And that's not the case. Election outcomes and democracy and policy outcomes are the result of the work that we put in. If we put in the work year after year, then we get the result.
I like that. That's great. So my favorite memory of you is from election night 2017 when election night live, and I was filming you, and so I was watching closely your face, and as the results for the House of Delegates election started coming in, and it became apparent that we were picking up a bunch of seats for the Democrats, your eyes just got really big. And I'll never forget that. So, can you tell us more about that pivotal election and what it felt like to make those gains?
Yeah, that was a really fun night. I think personally for me, after the 2016 election, I think for so many people, the election night in 2016 was just soul crushing. Not just sort of the unexpected happening, but just the waves of thoughts that rolled in afterwards of what the consequences of that election were going to be, in terms of the future of the Supreme Court, in terms of policy in Congress and executive orders, and not just those intangible things, but what they mean for real people with real lives and real communities, right? And the impact on immigrants, on students, on young people. The disappointment that my daughter felt in being so excited that the first woman was going to be elected, right? And that not happening, and the example that was set for her over 4 years of how women and young people and people of color can be treated in the halls of power. And all of that is to say, I sort of took the orientation towards elections after that of I am not getting my hopes up. I am not going to feel that soul crushing pain again. I am going to expect the worst. And even having all of the evidence in front of me that chances looked good for winning a lot of House of Delegates races, winning our statewide races. Those results started coming in. I remember that election night results came in faster than we were anticipating. And it was just victory after victory after victory that we had worked so long and so hard for. Both winning, races in places that had been perpetually frustrating, right? So Danica Rome defeating, a homophobe, folks like Hala Ayala, who is now our lieutenant governor nominee, winning her race, Kathy Tran winning her race. It was just a long list of really exciting victories. That weren't just about election night, right? It was about seeing a really diverse slate of candidates. The first out transgender person elected to a state legislature. The first Latina women elected to Virginia's legislature. The first AAPI women elected to Virginia's legislature. All of those changes that make it more representative, and then thinking about like what that was going to mean when it comes to expanding Medicaid for 400,000 Virginians and protecting and expanding voting rights and so many things. It was a good night.
Yeah, it was awesome. And yeah, as you said, it really helped turn the tide. I mean, we got Medicaid expansion that year, and then a lot of people were able to run on re-election saying that they helped expand Medicaid. And so that, helped us gain the majority in 2019. So it was just a really great election. And I was really happy to be there with y'all for that. So this year, of course, we have an election every year, and it's another crucial election year where all of the House of Delegates seats are up for re-election, and Virginia voters will be choosing a governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. Can you tell us what's at stake?
Well, I think what's always at stake on the ballot is what sort of community do you want to live in? What sort of future do you want for your family and your neighbors and your children? And whether that election is for local school board or it is for president, There's a very overused phrase that is true, that elections have consequences. And elections are about a choice of who better represents your values, um, and who is going to make decisions that are going to have a positive impact on your family and your friends and your community. And I think in this election, as in most elections, I think there are some really stark choices. When Virginians go to vote this November, or they vote from home, because lots of people can vote absentee by mail this year. It's one of the great changes that we made this election season, I should say. Folks are going to be voting for a new governor, a new lieutenant governor, a new attorney general, and for their member of the House of Delegates. And I think in deciding who you're going to vote for, there is a choice between not just protecting the progress that we have made over the past 2 years and 4 years, but about advancing the progress that we have made in the past 2 years and 4 years, or whether we're going to roll it back. Voting for the Republican nominee for governor, Glenn Youngkin, voting for Republican control of the House of Delegates is a decision to repeal the voting changes that we have made the past couple of years. If you like voting absentee, if you like your friends and family being able to vote and everybody having access and everybody being able to participate, they want to take that away from you. Glenn Youngkin made headlines last week because he said that he couldn't be honest with voters about his opinions on abortion access and restricting access to abortion. Because if he told voters the truth about what he thinks and what he wants to do, they won't vote for him. That was a strikingly honest statement about his intention to be dishonest on the campaign trail, about how his views are too radical to actually tell Virginians, because if he told Virginians the truth about what he wants to do as governor, they wouldn't vote for him. Expanding access to abortion and reproductive health care, investing in clean energy and combating climate change, consumer protections for student loan borrowers, protections and access for undocumented people in our community, criminal justice reform, legalizing recreational marijuana, repealing the death penalty. All of these things are things that the Republicans in the General Assembly have opposed. They're things that they blocked for over a decade before progressive legislators took control. And they're things that if they're put back in charge, they are going to undo. All of that is a partial laundry list of all the things that we've been able to accomplish with this majority. However, elections aren't about the past, they're about the future, right? It's not just about protecting what we've done, it's about what we're able to do next. Are we going to continue the work to confront Virginia's legacy as the capital of the Confederacy, as the place where the first enslaved Africans were brought to America, put into bondage, as Virginia is the home of white supremacy and racism, right? And our Commonwealth and our country were built on so much of that. And Virginia has such an incredible role to play as a leader, not just in the South, but across the country, in confronting that legacy, in tearing down these systems of inequality and inequity that persist, and in building a new future and new community where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. And we can choose to keep that work moving forward when we vote this November.
Amen, Anna Scholl, preach. So this is Progress Virginia's 10-year anniversary, which we are ecstatic to celebrate, but you're also leading us to take over the lead of our national network, Progress Now, which makes us very sad. What are your departing thoughts as you bid farewell to your Progress Virginia fans?
Well, I hate to say that I'm bidding farewell because I don't think I'm going far. I will still live in Virginia. This is still my home and it is where my heart is. So I'll be voting here. I'll be volunteering here. I'll be keeping close tabs on the work you guys are doing. But I am so excited to see what you guys do next. I think there's an incredible team at Progress Virginia that does amazing work and has such creative ideas. And it has been my my pleasure and my privilege to be part of this team and help build this team for the past 10 years. And I'm so excited to hand it off to amazingly talented people like you all, and to be able to watch and applaud and maybe cry a little. Happy tears as I see you guys do amazing work moving forward and keep building that future of safe and healthy communities where everybody can thrive.
Wonderful. Well, we love you, Anna Scholl. And as you see, some other members of our staff have hopped on to say hi and to say goodbye. So we've got Ashley Crocker, our communications director, Latwala Matthias, our new executive director, and Kimberly Nario, our digital community manager. Say hello, everyone.
Hi.
Guys.
Hi.
Anna, we're so excited for you, and we just love you so much. And now we get a chance to pepper you with some deep, thought-provoking questions. So
you guys already made me cry in private at a goodbye dinner, so you didn't get to make me cry in public too. Those are the ground rules.
Okay. See, she's still bossing us, even though she's not. Okay, so who wants to start?
I can start. I guess my question for you is, what is the most underrated thing that Progress Virginia did that you think maybe had the most impact in your tenure as executive director?
Oh gosh. There's a bunch of things, but I think one of the biggest is guiding the change in messaging strategy around Medicaid expansion. Medicaid expansion was a very long fight here, as it was in a lot of places. And when we started working on Medicaid expansion in 2012, 2013, the arguments around why we should expand Medicaid were all cerebral and about numbers and statistics of how many jobs were going to be created, how many people were going to gain coverage, how it was going to stimulate Virginia's economy. And those are all important things. The problem is that facts and numbers and statistics don't win hearts. People do, and stories do. And when we really pushed for and helped drive forward a change in messaging strategy about 2016 to focus on people, to focus on stories, to talk about uplifting the experiences of people who were in the coverage gap, who would gain healthcare coverage. If Virginia expanded Medicaid, we just saw a sea change in terms of public support and enthusiasm for Medicaid expansion, to the extent that 2017, when we won all of those races, most of those folks campaigned on Medicaid expansion, which was not something that they could have done and won 5-6 years earlier.
Okay, Anna, what is your favorite memory from a legislative session, or what is your favorite thing that a legislator has said in the past 10 years?
Oh, gosh. There's a lot of them. I think so. One of my favorite memories from legislative sessions is in maybe like 2015 or 2016, there was a bill in the General Assembly that essentially was about banning books, that somebody had gotten a bee in their bonnet, that they wanted to ban like controversial books in public schools. And in reality, what they were trying to do was ban Toni Morrison novels. And that's not my favorite part. It was outrageous and infuriating and racist and sexist. And we got a wild hair and tracked down like 20 or 25 copies of Beloved by Toni Morrison, because the legislative debates had basically devolved into a debate over Toni Morrison novels that it turned out most people had not read. So we delivered copies of Beloved to a bunch of legislators around the General Assembly. And then a great reporter from the Washington Post followed up and asked people if they had read those books. They had not. The bill died, by the way.
Awesome. Okay. I remember the meeting where you told us you were moving on from Progress Virginia, and it was very emotional. And I was still pretty new, so it was like a little awkward for me. But I think that's a real testament to what you've built at Progress Virginia, the team, the culture, everything. So with that in mind, can you tell us what is your favorite thing about everyone at Progress Virginia?
I feel like this is the let's find a question we can ask Anna that is going to make her cry. Oh gosh. Okay. So, Jen, I am just so in love with how you have grown in your time at Progress Virginia, in taking on new roles and programs and just running with them and making them your own. I think you've done an incredible job with our digital programs and our email programs in growing reach and effectiveness and trying new things and arguing for creativity and innovation and doing all of that while being an amazing mom to your baby boy, is just so impressive and gives me so much joy to watch. Ashley, if people don't know, Ashley and I have known each other for a very long time before she ever came to work here. I have known Ashley since she was in high school. So you can catch me on the side for all of the embarrassing stories. Ashley has just grown in her leadership so much, in stepping up in new roles, in serving as our communications director and taking on more responsibility in the organization. And watching her mature and learn and innovate has just been so exciting. She's definitely not a high schooler anymore. And it's been such a pleasure to watch that journey, and hopefully I get to continue to. Kimberly, I love your creativity. In the short time that you've been with the team in launching new social media channels and new styles of social media videos and engagement, you just bring such fun, creativity, and warmth and relatability to what we're trying to communicate. And I think you do an incredible job of taking the complex concepts that we work on and making them fun and relatable. You guys should check out the Progress Virginia TikTok. If you don't follow it already, it's full of really good content.
Yeah, good.
And then Latwyla, oh my goodness. In the 3 years you have been here, you just have challenged me to grow as a leader and a manager, to think outside the box and to think more creatively and to look at things from a different perspective. And I think the organization is just going to thrive and soar under your leadership. And I'm so excited for you and all of you all in this next step.
Ooh, I thought we said no tears, Anna.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how to end that. Thank you so much, Anna. And not only do we thank you, but our whole state thanks you. Virginia is such a better place now because of your dedication, your work, and that's reflected in all of us and in everybody else's work. You've been crucial to everything that's good that's happened here. So thank you. And does anybody have anything else to say?
We love you. Thank you.
We love you. That's it for our July edition of the Progress Virginia Spotlight. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and to subscribe to all of our other social media channels. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as you're seeing us here now. So thanks